You're a
Mhm.
you're a Marine, right? You're a veteran. So let me ask you, I didn't expect to ask you this, but what do you think about, obviously we have all of these wars, but isn't
Yeah.
military recruitment is down, right? And
Mhm.
so we're expanding wars and we're giving weapons to anybody who wants them. And we're
Mhm.
expanding militarily with our bases. We're saber rattling with China. We're saber rattling with Russia. We're funding Ukraine. We're funding Israel. We're saber rattling all over. I see homeless people outside all the time, and
Yeah.
plenty of hungry people as well. And I think we could take, the 500,000 um, or how
Mm.
many homeless people do we have?
Number 653,104, and the number's rising.
That's that is unfortunate. That's
Yeah, and
grown a
not to
lot
mention
since I
too,
last talked about this.
we're only probably counting people who don't have a home. Yeah, don't forget there are people who are the working homeless who work in their cars, or either that have some means in which
Yeah.
they are kind of squatting right now, or being with loved ones right now. I mean, yes, they have a
Hmm.
roof over their head, but I mean, they literally have nowhere else to go. So yeah.
Uh, Gosh. So, like, how do you feel as a veteran when you look at how we're funding wars, we're funding weapons all over the place, we're helping saber rattle the other world powers, and people here seem to be
Mhm.
waking up to it at least a little bit. Um, and like, what would you tell younger Kit about joining the military today?
If there
Maybe
was
that's a
a
better
Kit Cabello
question.
that's going to join the military today, right now, I would say don't do it because
Yes.
my tours, my service was a lot different than any other people. Like I got very lucky. Both tours, everybody came home alive and well and in one piece. And my MOS, my military operations specialty, was infantry. I was a rifleman, 0300. So that was my MOS. That was my job. And you know, that's like winning the lottery. In fact, screw winning the lottery. Everybody came home alive and well in one piece. That doesn't happen often. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of veterans who would club me upside the
Mhm.
head and switch places with me between 2004 and 2008. Both my tours, everybody came home. I cannot give that guarantee to any young man or woman who chooses to join the military right now. Plus, you are going into a political system that has shown firsthand after we've been in war for like what 20 plus years and still ongoing. Even if we're not yeah, yeah, yeah. I would
Been in
say,
war my whole life.
the government respects the active duty Marine or soldier or the active serviceman. They don't respect the veteran. All right. And even then, when you get
Mhm.
out, there's so much bureaucratic red tape that you have to go through. Like
That's awful.
even when I had to get my GI Bill or my Illinois Veterans Grant, there was a lot of red tape you got to go through. And you have to be if I didn't have my support from my family just saying, okay, kid, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got so you can get this bill, so you can get that bill. If I didn't have that behind me, I don't want to say I would have given up, but I don't think I would be as incentivized to keep pushing as hard as I did. And even then, readjusting to civilian life after the military life, it was tough, very tough, and it's not an easy
Yeah.
thing to overcome.
Yeah, I recently had a war veteran on the show, and he was talking about how he healed his PTSD from war
Mm,
by using psychedelics. And he brought up something I'd never thought of
mm,
before. He called it moral injury, and he said there were points when I was there, and I was like, "Why am I killing people that look a certain way? I'm like profiling them in my mind, and then we're killing them." I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's something along that lines. And he's like, there's like a moral injury there of when I'm another human, hurting another human. And I think about, and he also talked about readjusting back into society and the challenges that he had with that. I just think it's so, like, the cost of war is so much more than money. And we look at
mm,
the army, right, or the Marine Corps or the Navy,
mm,
and those are all individual human beings. And it's just, I just think about, I'm very human first. I always think about the individual when I do anything, right? Because I think we're all a human being essentially. But I just can't imagine ever unseeing what happened in 2001 and forward with
mm,
the perspective that I have now, knowing that these wars killed people, destroyed families, damaged loved ones and friends of mine, and I can't ever imagine having someone want to partake
It's
or
it
having
what
anyone that
we're
wants to
also having
partake.
here is a war weariness too for this population, and not to mention, look, 2001, I was a sophomore in high school, and I don't think any of us were really ready for overall what would happen. And I think there's a lot of American families now that have seen firsthand the damage of PTSD, as well as and there are people who have come home with missing legs or arms or so much more, and they are trying to struggle to get back to their life. And you know people do talk, people do speak to each other, and there's always, well, do you really want to serve if this is what your country's going to do to you? Do you really want to serve if this is how they're going to treat you when you come back so disabled as you are right now? And so I would say to people, if you're thinking about joining the military, just remember, it is a serious task that you're doing, but there's always a cost. And once started, there's no going back. And if you are to be injured or something were to happen to you, your government will abandon you, and we've seen it, we know it, and people, and there's a lot of American families that are talking about it. What's the incentive of sticking our neck out for a country that won't stick its neck out for its people, especially during the height of a pandemic where you got to stay locked down, but you can't go to work, you still got to pay the bills, but you can't leave your house, you still got to pay the water bill, electric bill, medical bill, still got to pay all the bills, but you can't leave your house. It's like a lose-lose situation. Our government, our country abandoned us long before COVID, and it'll continue to do so until people say enough.
Yeah. And I don't have a lot of
Soon,
faith that we're going to say enough. I
soon.
think we'll
I think
be,
I
I
think
think
there's
we're,
always a breaking
you
point for
think
people,
so?
and I think there is a point to where people say enough, where people do, because you only can distract the people for so long. You can only it's the price of food and goods and everything else has grown exponentially to where, how can we get by as a society and still not speak out? And people have a right to speak out. People have a right to push back at what's being put upon us. And my
But the United States is so
yeah, but
compliant. The citizens were
eventually,
so
those
compliant.
that are part of this compliance do awaken. And the thing is, there are people who are awakening. What that is that they might think that they're only ones that are awakened, or either that they don't know who to go to, because you have a lot of frightened people who are scared. And so what is happening though, and this is what gives me confidence, people are not putting trust in their government officials or corporate media or institutions, because they know
But they're
some
also
are, yes.
checking out. A lot of them are checking out. That's where I'm kind of like, okay, so if you look at it and you look at it's all a scam, that's why I say our whole government's basically a scam at this point. And then you go check out and
Mhm.
you're like, I'm just going to live my life the best I can. That's what I worry the compliance comes to. And we're heading into, you and I were talking about this
We,
a
we
little
are
bit
we
before
are
going.
we are
We're heading into
yeah we are
2024,
we are
right?
in
We're
2024.
in
We are in the
election
election
season.
season.